I'd like to welcome you all to the Municipality of Monroeville Planning Commission meeting for July 20th, 2022. If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a quick moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Sharon, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Pacusa?
Here.
Mrs. Cribbell?
Here.
Mr. Walker?
Here.
Ms. Montgomery? Here. Ms. Lawrence? Mr. Masung?
Here.
Mr. Bertoni?
Here.
Mr. Weldon?
Here.
All right, thank you. First item is the approval of minutes from our meeting of June 15th. Everybody had a chance to look those over?
I recommend approval.
Okay,
Second.
1 second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? First item is under old business. Paul, would you like to read for us, please?
Sure. 22-1-Z Law Funeral Home. Applicant is requesting to rezone the portion of tax parcel 857M195 that is currently zoned R1 Single Family Residential to C2 Business Commercial. The total area of the property is 4.411 acres. The property is located at 255 Haymaker Road. This item was tabled at the last Planning Commission meeting on June 15th, so it needs to be taken off the table before any action tonight.
I will seek a motion to untable this agenda item.
Motion to untable?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, it is untabled. Is the applicant here with us tonight?
We are.
If you could please come forward, say your name, sign on the sheet if you haven't already, and welcome back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, member of the board. My name is Tom Lonich. I'm the attorney representing Home of Law Funeral Home and Mr. and Mrs. Law. As you can see, Mr. and Mrs. Law are again here with me tonight. To refresh some of your recollection, and I'm not sure I'm any better this month than I was last month at putting this in the middle, so I can just hold it up for you.
Actually, if you just set
Yeah.
it centered on that sort of X in the middle there, then the camera will pick it up. And
There it is.
There it
the
is.
audience at home can see it as well.
All right. We are requesting the portion of the property that's here, this triangle, to be rezoned from the residential designation to the commercial designation for purposes of allowing that property to be utilized as a funeral home. At the last meeting, we had extensive discussion concerning that, and the commission had some questions and it requested additional documentation from us, and I provided that to your zoning officer, and I'm presuming that you all have that. In that, I had a draft of an agreement wherein the laws will agree that if that property is rezoned, it's only to be used as a funeral home. I provided language that a covenant would be attached to the deed. I followed up with some law indicating that a restrictive covenant is enforceable in Pennsylvania. So if it's only to be used as a funeral home and any use is accessory there too, and it's in the deed, it runs with the land and not particular as to any ownership. So whoever comes further down the line, although that's not intended, it would have to be used as a funeral home. We did have some discussion, and as I indicated the last time, Mr. and Mrs. Law wanted to be upfront that there is some thought that maybe it would be used as a crematorium as an accessory use. And I want to emphasize to the board and reiterate what their sworn testimony was last time. We are here seeking this rezoning for purposes of funeral home. Somewhere down the line, if a crematorium fits into their plans, into the need of the community, and the financial responsibility, they may consider adding this crematorium. And at that time, if there are any further regulations by Monroeville, they will of course have to meet all of those. But I did provide some of the information as to a crematorium. It would be all enclosed within that building. It is an enclosed furnace. There is a short smokestack. The process from a body coming in from wherever it may be located all takes place interiorly. There is no additional traffic or anything like that. And in fact, as I said, I think the last time, you could probably operate a crematorium and no one would ever know it's there. So, but we did provide that information because the commission asked for it. So, again, we're looking for a favorable recommendation to rezone that property to commercial to allow the funeral home. We agree to be restrictive to only that use, and we are all here to answer any additional questions that the commission may have.
I actually had two questions specific to the crematorium portion, since I wasn't here last month, and I apologize for not being here. As far as, the equipment and everything that's inside and contained, is there any type of backup system that you know of in case there's a malfunction or a breakdown of that equipment, or?
There is, it's monitored, and the system, the provider of that system also has I'll say a 24-hour hotline, so you actually can get on the computer if anything goes wrong and contact the manufacturer. The manufacturer, if they can't walk you through it, send someone immediately to the premises to take whatever steps is necessary to make sure it's in operation. The actual, you saw the pictures, it's a furnace operation that goes in, but it's all monitored. And someone would have to be there through the entire process and period. So it's never left alone.
Okay. And then the second question was, I know that the laws have other facilities. Do they have crematoriums on site at any of their other facilities, or is it all third-party service type?
If you wouldn't mind, I'll have Mr. and Mrs. Law come up and answer that question directly.
Yeah,
rather
absolutely.
than me.
You can just, please
And,
state your name and then sign in as well.
Dwight Law.
Mr. Law is still under oath from the last proceedings, correct?
Yes, sir.
So my question again is, in your other facilities, do you have crematorium services on site at those facilities, or are they all done at a third-party location?
They're done third party,
Okay.
correct.
Yeah.
So I have a question. If you were to add the crematory, would you be able to extend your services to other funeral homes that don't have a crematory?
Absolutely.
So that would be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
At this point right now, we would be the first minority funeral home in Western Pennsylvania. And as it stands right now, we're underrepresented. And we, in the funeral business, our family goes back, in 29, it'll be 100 years. We've operated 6 facilities in 6 different locations and with exemplary records in each one of them.
Congratulations for that.
Again, I wanted to, again, state or emphasize that we're looking to have it rezoned for purposes of a funeral home. If whatever restrictions may come down the line by the municipality, at that time, we'd have to meet all of those. So if there's a restriction that only those entities who provide services through that funeral home are eligible, I guess for lack of a better word, for the cremation, there would be compliance with all of those. So that's what we're looking for, but as I said the last time, Mr. and Mrs. Law and myself, we wanted to be upfront with the board. We wanted to maintain that credibility. You've all been there before where somebody comes in and they get permission to do one thing, and months later or a year later, they're trying to do something else once they get their foot in the door. And we didn't want anything like that. We wanted to be upfront with everybody. And if there's a restriction on it, or just outright that at that point in time you can't use it as a crematorium, it's only a funeral home, that's what we'll deal with.
Our primary objective is for a funeral home, but as we all know, the current trends like burial to cremation right now is almost 50-50. And so 5-10 years from now, we want to be able to prepare for the future or whatever that may be.
Can I take a look at the map again?
I wanted to ask, sorry, I was not here last month either. Here we go.
Yes.
I just want to ask, are the colors, so across the street, is that currently commercial? It is, right? I don't think the
Yeah.
colors are actually,
That's correct.
Yeah.
Anything, this is the subject property.
Right.
This triangle, and there is a portion of it, so this little flag area is actually already zoned commercial.
okay,
So on the map, everything that's in red is commercial, and what is, I guess, a gray or a lighter green, that's a residential designation.
what about across the
Over
street?
here?
That part, yes.
This is residential,
Like
and then,
those four, like there, those are residential?
yes, these are
Okay.
all residential.
Those are all residential?
Right.
Okay.
But of course, it's separated by Haymaker Road
Okay.
there.
And it's directly behind it, that's also commercial, right?
No.
No. What's this, the big or rectangle directly behind the
Oh,
property?
that's commercial, that's down
That
off
is
of
commercial?
Yes,
48.
yes.
I think is that the medical arts building?
I was just gonna say,
That's 'cause it's
this,
down over the hill.
that's right. And
That is
I have some pictures I had shown the last time of what it actually looks like.
Yeah, so this is all commercial, this far over here
Right.
is residential. Okay, I got it.
And as I said, there is a portion of the property that's already zoned commercial.
That little chunk.
That little, yeah, that little portion right there, so.
And I'll just say as well, crematorium aside, future use of the property, if we do rezone it or, recommend it being rezoned, God forbid anything would happen to your business, that it would be turned over to new ownership or something, then there's a whole list of already approved conditions that could go into that property. And that's just something else we have to take into consideration as well.
Right. Well, that's why we provided the restrictive language. And I said that from the very beginning last week, or last month, excuse me.
Our current funeral home in Pins Hills right now is operated under a restrictive deed.
Is your current funeral home in a residential area?
Pardon?
Is the current one in Pin Hills in residential?
Yes.
Yes, that's what I
Yes,
thought.
it's completely surrounded by residential, but again, we do have a restrictive deed that,
Okay.
And as a funeral home in that area with residents, it is probably the least intrusive
Right.
that you can have that. And you all know when you look at that, 4.5 acres, if it's divided, and how many more homes and things like that, or a residential use could go on there, but here, and it's set up, as I showed the last time, the roadways are into that property, then back out to Haymaker, so traffic is removed from Haymaker Road. It's all contained within that piece of property. But importantly for the commission, it will only be used for that purpose of a funeral home. And as you saw in the language I provided in the agreement, if for some reason it's not to be used, then it will revert to the residential zoning designation, and the property owner of the laws waive and relinquish any right to challenge that, whether it be non-conforming or for any other reason.
Are all the lawyers in agreement on this?
What other lawyers?
I had forwarded the information Mr. Lonich had provided to the municipal solicitor, and the municipal solicitor does not agree. The municipal solicitor believes the municipality cannot enforce any encumbrances on a rezoning.
Well, I wasn't aware of that until right now. I obviously take exception to that. If it's a restrictive covenant and a deed which runs with the land, and I provided those are enforceable in Pennsylvania, and you can only use the land for that purpose.
The solicitor does agree that it is part of the deed, and it is enforceable at some point, but the municipality cannot enforce it.
I can argue to me, that's a distinction without a difference. Who else would enforce it? Anybody else can enforce it if it's,
I'm just passing along.
I understand that. As I said, I think it's enforceable. I think you can have a developer's agreement. We're willing to do all of that. Just like any other developer's agreement, if somebody builds a commercial venture, if you're looking at a mall and that developer says we'll enter in developer's agreement and we agree we're only gonna have the roadways this way and we're gonna do all of that. If they don't do it, then, you can seek to hold them to all that.
May I ask, is the property already purchased?
Yes.
You already purchased the property?
Yes.
And one other, this is from the Allegheny County Department of Development. I'll just read this one comment from them. As with any rezoning request, it is important to note that the municipality is rezoning to a district, not a plan. As a result, if the subject property is rezoned, it should be noted that the property can be developed in accordance with any of the permitted uses within the C2 district, which permits restaurants, bars, and offices as permitted uses. As a result, the township should not rezone any request based on any representation of any plan.
I don't disagree with that, and I understand that that's a correct analysis. That is why we continue to say we're willing to restrict it to only a funeral home. And so all those the concerns, and rightfully so, that the commission has that, hey, once you get in there and we rezone it, you can bring in any bar, restaurant, et cetera, in a residential neighborhood, that's legitimate. But we're taking all of that out of the equation and saying, we agree to only allow it to be used for this. And, if it's not enforceable, even assuming the position that it's not enforceable by the municipality, then apparently any of the neighbors could go in and say, well, we're enforcing that restrictive covenant. Now, as a practical matter, the municipality may go to one of those neighbors and say, well, we may not, but you enforce it, and then it's enforceable, and the end results are the same thing. You're only using it for a funeral home.
That actually raises another question. So all of the neighbors have been notified?
Not yet.
Oh,
We send
not
out the
yet.
public notices for the public hearing at the council meeting,
Okay.
not for planning commission.
Okay, so they are.
So it hasn't, the property has not been posted, or the public notices have not been put out or put in a newspaper yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd just like to offer a comment to the commission here, and I don't believe any of us are attorneys. But, that's obviously a legal concern potentially down the road. Whether we as a board vote to recommend approval or denial to council, they still have their own say and their own vote. Their own solicitor will, be on site for those meetings. That could be an issue that isn't ours to determine anyway. Any other comments or questions from any members or anything from you guys else?
We don't have anything else to present. If there's any other questions, we'll try to answer those.
All right. Hearing no other questions, I will seek a motion.
Motion to approve? Is that the motion to approve?
Whatever you
Yeah,
feel you
motion to
want to, motion to approve? Second. Sharon, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Pacusa?
Yes?
Ms. Krivda?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Ms. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mr. Masson?
Yes.
Mr. Bertoni?
Yes.
Thank you very much. I just want to offer, we'll continue to work. Any other questions or any other effort you wish from our part, or the zoning department, or the board, please let me know. Sure. We're willing to do that.
Thank you.
Okay?
All right, see you at the council meeting.
All right, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Good luck.
Take care.
Thank you.
All right. Our next item is new business.
22-3-C, Transforming Media LLC. Applicant is requesting conditional use approval to install a 150-foot square foot billboard pursuant to Monroeville zoning ordinance number 1443 as amended, section 307.14. The property is located at 4400 Broadway Boulevard in the M2 Industrial Zoning District and known as tax parcel ID 747S147. Since the writing of the agenda, the applicant has requested to be tabled, so
All right.
motion to table.
I will seek a motion for table.
Motion table? Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the item is tabled, and then We'll seek one final motion for adjournment.
Motion?
First,
Second, adjourn.
I'm sorry, I don't.
Yes, several.
Bruce
Mr.
first.
Walker,
Yeah. and then
second.
Kim second, yeah.
thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.
And